In this atopic dermatitis 5-minute Pearl, we will cover topical steroids primarily, but we will briefly cover dermatology referral criteria at the end. For the purpose of this brief video, we will discuss the use of topical corticosteroids for the treatment of atopic dermatitis, as they are usually our first-line therapy and our workhorse. However, it is important to note that we have a multitude of anti-inflammatory medications that we frequently employ for our patients with eczema. Here are a few keys to prescribing topical steroids. So first, when choosing the strength of a topical steroid, it is important to make note of the severity of the atopic dermatitis on the patient, as well as the location of the eczema. Both of these observations will help you choose the appropriate strength. Formulation is also important. So in general, ointments are more efficacious than creams, than lotions. However, sometimes patients, and specifically children, don't like the greasy formulation of ointments and refuse to use them. So in these situations, we do recommend you prescribe creams because it's better for them to use a cream than to have an ointment that they never use anyways. Lotions are not recommended as these are more watery and tend to be drying and sometimes even sting the skin. The quantity of the topical steroid is very important. It's important to note how much body surface involvement there is to know how much you need to give them to get them by until their next appointment or until they can see their primary care doctor or their dermatologist. And then lastly, proper use and counseling is essential. Choosing a steroid can be overwhelming and confusing for many providers, so I try to really keep it simple. If you can remember 1, maybe 2 agents in each category for mild, moderate, and severe, you will be able to take care of the majority of the patients that you see in your office. So for mild atopic dermatitis, I usually think about agents like hydrocortisone 2.5% or desinide. Many providers will prescribe hydrocortisone 1%. We really discourage this as it is just so darn weak that it typically doesn't do much for the patient at all. In moderate atopic dermatitis, I start to think about triamcinolone, which varies in strength. Triamcinolone 0.025% can be used for moderate to severe atopic dermatitis on the face. However, I wouldn't go up much higher than that. In general, we use a lot of triamcinolone 0.1% for the body. And then for severe atopic dermatitis, you start to think about things like mometasone or even clobetasol. However, I've listed triamcinolone here as well because many patients who have severe atopic dermatitis have pretty diffuse body surface involvement. And triamcinolone and hydrocortisone 2.5 are the only 2 agents that are available in 454-gram jars. So when a patient has diffuse body surface involvement, even if it is severe, you ought to give them a tub of triamcinolone because this will allow them to use it aggressively. The chart on the left here is taken from the Atopic Dermatitis Evidence-Based Care Guideline, and these agents are available through the Dell Children's Medical Center outpatient pharmacy. This chart is also from the Evidence-Based Care Guideline on the Dell Children's Medical Center website. This one has a few more options in each category. I would at first kind of stick with the chart on the previous slide and make sure you commit those ones to memory. And then as you get more comfortable, you can come back to this chart and use some other agents if needed. As stated before, the formulation of the steroid is really important. So usually we prescribe ointments, which you can see in the photo on the bottom there. These feel like Vaseline or Aquaphor on the skin, so they do tend to be greasy. However, they do an excellent job at delivering the active ingredient into the skin while also protecting the skin barrier. That being said, some patients can't tolerate ointments because they don't like how they feel on their skin. So in these scenarios, we prescribe creams. Creams are also thick and soothing to the skin, but they tend to be white in color rather than that clear color of ointments. We do not prescribe lotions or gels as these tend to have a high water and alcohol content, which ultimately dries out the skin and can cause irritation and stinging. There are some steroids that come in a foam formulation or a solution. However, these are typically used in other dermatologic conditions. One of the more common mistakes seen when prescribing topical steroids is simply not giving the patient enough steroids so that they can use it appropriately. And I think this is hard because it's really difficult to visualize how much in grams the patient will need to cover the affected area on their body. But in general, for instance, 15 grams is about the size of a tablespoon. So we don't often, if ever, prescribe this just because the patient will be able to use it for 1 or 2 days and then be left without any medicine. 30 grams is okay for small body surface areas involved, such as the face or just a localized patch on the body. However, 60 to 80 grams is a better bet if they have a few patches or perhaps need to use it more aggressively. And then lastly, if they have diffuse body surface area involved, you really need to think about giving them a 454 gram jar so that they are able to use it twice daily during their flares and then 3 times weekly for maintenance, and not run out, since they would be applying it to such a large surface area. And just of note, triamcinolone and hydrocortisone 2.5% are the only 2 agents that come in a 454 gram jar. Lastly, it is important to discuss with your patients and their families the appropriate use of topical steroids and the potential side effects. However, along those same lines, it is also important not to scare them away from using their steroids, which we see not uncommonly. In general, topical steroids are quite safe when they are used appropriately. There, of course, are the possible side effects that are listed here. However, if the patient is using it as prescribed, they are very, very unlikely to see these. Systemic side effects are even more unlikely unless the patient is really covering their entire body in topical steroid multiple times a day for many weeks or months at a time. They are very unlikely to have any clinically significant side effects, systemic-wise. So for dosing, what we typically do is twice daily during flares, and then 2 to 3 times a week, even when they're not flaring, just as maintenance. So I describe this as treating a fire. So when the fire is burning aggressively or the patient is having a flare, you ask them to apply their steroid twice a day to the spots where they are flaring. And then once those areas calm down and they're back at their baseline, we ask them to apply the steroid 2 to 3 times a week, such as if they were sprinkling water on the fire to keep it at bay. And this prevents more frequent flares, in addition to, of course, gentle skin care and moisturization and avoidance of triggers. And then finally, I threw in this table taken from the Evidence-Based Care Guideline off the Dell Children's Medical Center website. And this is the pediatric dermatology referral and consultation criteria for Dell Children's Medical Center. You can save this to perhaps review later. I won't go over it here, but it can be helpful with regard to deciding when you need to refer patients to pediatric dermatology or when it is appropriate to keep managing them in the primary care setting. Thank you for listening to this 5-minute Pearl. I'm sorry that it was a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but this is an important topic in atopic dermatitis, so I hope it was helpful. And as always, you can reference the Atopic Derm Evidence-Based Care Guideline on the Dell Children's Medical Center website.